Hey, what's up guys, it's Oakley and I am joined by James. He's from the Rise of Mordor team and we're here to kind of shed light on the mod. So I've done some spotlights in the past and we're getting back to it because they've made some pretty big progress. This video itself is going to be just a Q&A running through a bunch of stuff that we prepared beforehand as a reintroduction into this mod. So James, I guess we'll get started with the biggest
Alright.
question. What is the Rise of Mordor mod?
Well, actually, Rise of Mordor is a total overhaul mod for Creative Assembly's Total War Attila, which is set in the year 2951 of the Third Age. This is the year in which Sauron declares himself openly and gathers his power in Mordor. This mod aims to change nearly every aspect of Attila and transform the game into a representation of J.R.R. Tolkien's Middle-earth. To achieve this, we will change aspects such as custom 3D character models, custom UI including unit cards inspired by the Age of Charlemagne DLC for Attila, custom settlements and land battle maps, finely tuned and balanced battle system, lore-rich unit descriptions that will totally immerse you in the world of Middle-earth, finally but not least, a soundtrack inspired by Howard Shore and other sources.
And for those of you who haven't seen this before, I will probably link in the description to previous videos. We did showcase the music and a lot of the artwork, and it is pretty stunning. So you guys are kind of still floating around early stages of the alpha. What are the main factions that you intend to bring to life in this mod?
Well, we'll of course have the two most iconic factions of Lord of the Rings, Mordor and Gondor. In addition, we'll have Isengard, Dale and Rohan. Previously, we were planning to include the Elven faction of Imladris, but we decided to shelf them for a later date.
Okay, and same thing goes with the dwarves for the time being?
Yeah, they were being worked on, but we've all got other commitments, and the creator of them unfortunately had to just couldn't work on the mod anymore.
Okay, but these are still kind of empty slots that could potentially be filled. It's just a question of resources at this point.
Yeah, of course. So eventually there'll probably be about 20 factions, but that's quite a while off.
Gotcha. So are you guys planning on doing a campaign for this mod?
Well, to be totally frank with you, campaign tools for Attila are pretty broken at the moment. We have had some tools released, but they haven't been patched in ages, and they just result in crashes. Therefore, we're probably going to shelf the idea of campaign for a while until better modding tools are released. This might come with the next historical title for Total War, but we just don't know. If else fails, Mountain Blade Warband could be a great game for the mod to be ported to. Mountain Blade is known for epic modding tools, and I'm sure it'd be awesome to have the mod there.
Yeah, and that's pretty unfortunate to hear because I remember seeing first, before Attila came out, there was ideas of, okay, are we going to be able to create our own world and our own map? And there was a lot of hype. Attila comes out, turns out you can't really mod the map, but maybe you can sync potential areas of the map, make them impassable, start renaming regions. And you guys had this really awesome map of how you were going to transform Europe into Middle-earth, but I guess as it became apparent, CA released these new mods for Attila, but quickly kind of dropped the patching behind it. I know Darren, for instance, had said he was going to release a whole series of tutorials going through how to use the mod toolkit and all that. That never materialized, and it seems like they kind of dropped it, seeing as there weren't too many people on Attila anyways. So it's a shame that you guys got caught in a bit of that.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I joined a bit later, like after all of the modding campaign stuff had been planned, but it seems that the biggest problem was even if all these tools did work, we still wouldn't be able to program the AI, because the AI would just try and walk through mountains and it ultimately wouldn't work.
That's a shame. Well, then if there's no campaign, like you said, there may be potential for it in a future title, especially with you guys having all these resources, the artwork, the assets, and all that in it. But I guess that means we're going to turn to custom games and multiplayer games. And that will probably be a big selling point for a lot of the YouTubers. I know we like to do big, massive battles. So,
Yeah.
big question: is this multiplayer compatible?
Yep. Nearly all mods are multiplayer compatible, so long as everyone involved in the lobby is using the exact same mods, and will definitely be aiming for good campaign balance, so you're not just fighting the same old armies every single time, as is in Warhammer.
That's awesome.
Yep.
So we're gonna be playing on the different battle maps from Attila. Do you guys plan on making your own custom maps as well?
So yes, there will be custom maps and historical battles, which will come eventually, but they'll definitely be coming after all the units have been created, and probably not beforehand, since there's no point in having a map if there aren't enough units to plan it with.
I see. That makes sense. Um, in terms of units, what are some of the cool units you guys are planning on bringing into the mod?
Well, you can make your own assumptions about what units will be in there, such as Moomakil and the likes, but the ones we can definitely say will be in there are units such as the veterans of Eregion. I'm not quite sure, I'm not one of the lore guys, but they're basically elven smiths who will wield a hammer and a shield, and also a longbow. So they're good in all types of scenarios, and they'll definitely be able to destroy the enemy, but they'll have small unit sizes to compensate for this.
Very cool. So you guys are definitely gonna bring a lot of the elite units, as well as a lot of the rank and file. So that's cool. And I know you can't necessarily commit one way or the other to bringing trolls or Mubakill or anything. So that's something to be seen. But I imagine if you're sticking to Attila, flying units are a bit out of the question, right?
Yeah, probably. There's a lot we can do, but it just all depends on the amount of work we can put in, like in terms of how many people can commit to the mod and just what is possible.
Cool. So speaking about that, let's go into kind of your take on how far the mod has progressed so far.
So, this is going to be a long answer, so just buckle down and sit in. It is impossible to put a percentage amount on how much has been completed for the mod, but I can outline what we have revealed and previewed up to this date. None of this is the final product, and it is always up for revision in terms of content being removed, tweaked, or added. Work is always ongoing on Rise of Mordor. First of all, I'll talk about work on 3D character models and unit cards. The character models have been worked on by our project director, Wikus van der Meer, our project co-director, Mr. Jocks, and Premi, and Zach Cohen. Serious PT has worked on unit cards. Faction of Dale has been worked on by Premi and has had 12 units created and previewed so far. All of these units have completely custom models, and none of it is vanilla. In addition to this, 4 units have been brainstormed on paper, and Sirius PT has previewed 14 unit cards. The faction of Gondor has been worked on by Wikus van der Meer, and Mr. Jocks has had 7 units created and previewed so far, but some of these may be redone because we might just redo them. Sirius PT has also created 19 unit cards. In terms of unit cards overall, Mordor has had 16 previewed, Address 15, Isengard 11, and the Iron Hills 10. 25 faction flags have also been shown, but to quote Mr. J, factions list has been reviewed and changed since then. Now, to put all of this massive work into perspective, especially the 3D character modeling, and Premi, the guy who's creating Dale for us, has created a single shield from scratch. This took him over 6 hours to do. This shield was especially made for a single unit. The shield won't be used for any other units at all. That unit is also made up of a helmet, a chest plate, plate legs, gauntlets, greaves, a sword, and a lance. Except for the weapons, which can be reused for other units, these assets were created solely for this unit. In addition, there's not just one version of each, numerous, such as 2 different helmets, 3 different swords, and much more. All of our units have a similar level of variety, and as such, our units are a massive time commitment. So far in this talk, I've been focusing on 3D character modeling and unit cards, but I mustn't forget the awesome work done by the lore team on unit descriptions. Each and every single unit in the mod has a long description of roughly 250 words. This is really deeply entrenched in Tolkien's work. These have been created by C.S. Shuey and Maestro 1, who are resident lore masters. In addition, Philip Lecture, Jesse Davis, and William Cook have created music for the mod, which can be found on Philip's YouTube channel. The link will probably be in the description. As I said before, there's a lot of work I'm not mentioning here because we haven't completely polished or previewed it. The amount of work completed is much more than shown here. I can promise you, however, that all of it will blow you away.
So we did also, and thanks for going over all that. I think that kind of sets the bar pretty high in terms of what you've done so far and what's coming up. We did have one of the questions that I think we felt was relevant to pose is you guys are trying to recreate a fantasy setting. And so a lot of people are probably going to ask, are you going to be moving into the realm of Total War Warhammer?
So Total War Warhammer is a pretty good game. It's taken a lot of people by surprise what CA can do when they put their mind to it, but ultimately we won't be moving to Warhammer. We've come to this conclusion because Warhammer is just unsuitable for Rise of Mordor. First and foremost because Rise of Mordor would infringe the strict terms of use that are tied to the Warhammer modding software. So we'd either get sued or our mod would just be taken down. Further reasons include the lack of information about how much you can even mod in Warhammer, because at the time of this recording, you can't even mod unit models, animations, battle maps, the campaign map, or so much more. In addition, it seems that no significant new features will be implemented in the assembly kit, which is one of our modding tools for Total War Warhammer. Even the fact that Warhammer is a fantasy universe and has dwarves and flying beasts doesn't really help us, as they're 2 different universes and they don't relate to each other significantly.
Okay. And yeah, so there's a couple other questions in here. I think one of them was asking if, you guys obviously don't work in isolation. There's a bunch of other mods ongoing. Do you guys ever work or contact with the Medieval Kingdom mod team, for instance?
Just got to find that. Alright. Yes, quite a few of us are in contact with different mod teams, such as Seven Kingdoms, which is a Game of Thrones mod, Medieval Kingdoms, which is a historical mod, Ancient Empires, which is another historical mod, and Divide et Impera, which is for Rome Total War 2. We all help each other out with tips and tricks we've picked up through working on our various mods, and we all just improve each other's mods. So there's a big community that can help each other out.
Cool. That's really awesome. And I know you've shared a lot of artwork with me. It looks very awesome. Where are you guys getting this inspiration from? Is it all strictly from Weta? From the Weta archives, or just I'm curious to see who's behind kind of the art direction of this.
So we use Weta. So our visual inspiration is from Weta, who created products and concept art for the films, and the films are a big inspiration as well. The books don't really play as big of a role in defining our visuals, but they're definitely the cornerstone for the lore and the mod.
Very cool. And yeah, I'm really happy to hear that you guys have some kind of lore experts that are going to be there to put a lot of the deep richness in the descriptions. Excited to see what you guys end up doing with that. People are also going to
Yep.
be asking, when do you guys anticipate this being released?
That is a question we get a lot, and everyone wants to know, we want to know, you want to know. Unfortunately, we can't give you a solid release date. Modding is just unpredictable. People have other time commitments. Uh, we mod because we want to, not because we're forced to. We're not being paid for this. And in addition, Rise of Mordor is a pretty huge undertaking. So it'll just come out when it comes out, and we're as impatient to play it as you guys are.
Yeah, and I think over time, um, this is mostly going to be fed by the team's willingness to work on it, the influx of perhaps new people who might want to help out, and all that. And I think it helps when we do kind of Q&As like this to remind everyone that this is going on. But what also helps is when I've seen mod teams kind of release alphas or previews, things like that. When do you guys expect to kind of drop a big preview of content?
So we can't promise a specific time for the preview, but we're preparing for it. We're developing stuff that we're saving a lot of material up for this preview because we figure no one wants to see half finished stuff that might even be broken, such as at the moment we've got a few problems with bowstrings. So we want to fix it all and then we'll release it, and you'll be able to have in your mind a clear image of how good the mod is, and it won't be spoiled by any unfinished stuff we might have released in the past.
Cool. Well, I think that's awesome for everyone to hear. It's always great to hear dedication to quality of the product instead of just rushing it out. I'm sure everyone would love to support this project. So along those lines, how would you say people can help support this mod?
So at the moment, the biggest thing we need in terms of new members is people who can create 3D characters, such as like 3D models, helmets, armor, weapons, that stuff. So there'll probably be another link in the description, and it'll lay out the requirements, absolute necessities that you need to have, and like stuff that would be preferred. If you're skilled in music composing, Total War, database editing, UI art, and creating animations, you can send in an application, but we're not in need of that as we are of 3D character artists. So just to clarify, at the moment we only have 3 active people creating all of these great models, which really slowed down production. So every little bit helps.
Well, awesome. Yeah, I hope people get excited about this mod. It's definitely coming along well. The artwork alone and the music and everything kind of building up behind it looks great. And I really do hope people put their weight behind this. Anyone, like James said, anyone who has experience, definitely head on over there, lend your support, even recommendations of other people, point them in that direction. This is going to be a cool, awesome project that I know we're all excited for. So yeah, thank you again, James, for sharing this with us, and definitely we'll be
No
hearing more
worries, it
from you
was a
guys
pleasure.
soon. Yeah, cool. So again, everyone, make sure you check the links below so you can see how you can support this project, and I'll probably also provide links to previous videos that I and others have done, which show an earlier build also, which had units, and there was a little bit of gameplay too. So it's all very exciting, and it's once again really cool to see it coming together. Thanks again. See ya.
See ya.